Member for Capalaba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to offer my support for the police powers and responsibilities making Jack's Law permanent and other legislation amendment bill 2025. This is an incredibly important piece of legislation that honours the life of a young Queenslander, Jack Beazley. On December the 13th, 2019, Brett and Belinda Beazley got that call from the police. The call or the knock on the door that no parent wants to hear. They received the devastating news that their son Jack, who was only 17 at the time, had been attacked and fatally stabbed in a violent knife attack. This was a senseless act of violence while out with his friends in Surfers Paradise. A night like any other that thousands of young people do all too often throughout the state. Going out with their mates, having fun, but expecting to come home safe and well. Jack was a talented footballer and recently had started an apprenticeship. He had his whole future ahead of him. The Beazleys, like far too many other Queenslanders, had to deal with the overwhelming grief of losing a family member to youth crime. Like many others before them and since, they were determined to have something good come out of this tragedy. This led them to establish the Jack Beazley Foundation, a foundation or legacy which aims to deliver knife crime education and, most importantly, drive change around youth violence. I want to thank Brett and Belinda for their courage and their tireless advocacy to protect our community from the scourge of knife crime. This bill will make Jack's Law permanent. Was introduced to the House on the 2nd of April 2025 by the Minister of Police and Emergency Services and referred to the Justice, Integrity and Community Safety Committee for consideration. The committee received numerous written submissions and heard from stakeholders such as the Queensland Police Service and the Queensland Council of Civil Liberties. The committee made one single recommendation, that the bill be passed. This bill also builds on an early legislation, such as the Youth Justice and Other Legislation Amendment Act 2021, which authorised a trial allowing police officers to use handheld scanners without a warrant to detect if a person was carrying a knife. This initiative enabled police to use handheld metal detectors similar to the security scanning at our nation's airports, making it easier for police to detect and remove dangerous weapons. That initial trial was confined to within the Surfers Paradise and Broadbeach Safe Night precincts, or SNPs, and expired in April 2023. On the expiration of that trial, Police Powers and Responsibilities Jack's Law Amendment Act 2023 was passed with bipartisan support. This extended trial to all 15 SNPs across the state, as well as other locations such as public transport hubs, which were termed relevant places. This Act officially recognised the Beazley's family story in law. That 2023 Act also introduced considerations that would be required for a senior police officer to authorise any other police officer to use the handheld scanners. These considerations included the history of the offending at a relevant place, as well as the likelihood of further offending. On August 30, 2024, the Queensland Safety Act 2024 further expanded the areas that were to be considered relevant places under Jack's Law, to include other public places such as shopping centres, sporting and entertainment venues, as well as licensed venues. The expiry of this provision was extended for an additional 12 months to the end of next year, on the 30th of October 2026. We could not sit back and allow Jack's Law to expire. And this is yet another key election commitment that our government is committing on. The Christofilu government is serious about giving our police the tools they need to do their job, and making Jack's Law permanent will only increase their capabilities. That is why the Queensland Police Union backed these new laws. My message to our police officers out there working tirelessly to keep our community safe is this: we hear you and we're here with you every step of the way. There was also a number of secondary objectives in this latest legislation, including extending the operational period for the Terrorism Preventative Detention Act 2005 from the 16th of December 2025 to the 16th of December 2040. It also amends the Marine Rescue Act 2024 to confirm that Marine Rescue Queensland is a charitable institution for particular purposes, as well as amending the State Emergency Services Act 2024 to clarify the validity of previous SES member appointments. Across Queensland, police have now scanned more than 115,000 people, resulting in 3,000 charged with various offences, which are mostly weapons and drug related. These wandering operations were carried out at the Safe Night precincts, transport hubs, shopping centres and sporting and entertainment venues around the state. In the last 2 years alone, since April 2023, over 1,100 weapons were seized during these operations. To reiterate, Jack's Law has been responsible for taking over 1,100 weapons off our streets during that time. 1,100 bladed weapons in the last 2 years. That has saved anywhere between 1 and 1,100 lives. With each weapon detected and seized is a potential stabbing, and each of these weapons could have been used to senselessly take the life of another Queenslander, just like Jack. Making Jack's Law permanent will continue to take weapons off the street, and it will save lives. It is that simple. Mr. Speaker, in Queensland, it is already illegal to carry a knife, including a machete, in public space. This is spelled out at the Weapons Act 1990, and we already have serious criminal code offences prohibiting the use of machetes as a weapon, as a circumstance for aggregation of assaults, robberies, burglaries, carjacking and going armed offences. Queensland already has laws that ban the sale of bladed weapons to minors. This was done last year in the Summary Offences Amended Bill, a bill that the LNP supported. Mr. Speaker, Queenslanders have the right to feel safe when they're out in public, and there's no excuse for anybody to be carrying a knife, machete or even axes in a public place. Making Jack's Law permanent is just another way the Christopher Uli government is placing the rights of victims over the rights of offenders and builds on our commitment to restore community safety. With the passing of this bill, Queenslanders will feel safer. And this is the outcome that the Christopher Uli government will always strive for. I urge the House to support this bill. Okay.